Good morning, students. Can you hear me? Students, can you hear me? Good morning, students. Can you hear me? Good morning, students.
Good morning.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
So you are our lecturer.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
You are our lecturer for F4.
Yeah, please chat me in the chat box. The chat button is right uh, on the in the options. In the more options, you can go and you have chat with me.
Yeah.
Before we'll start our class, it is important that we can have all the media aligned with us, the camera, the mic, the voice quality. Okay. Okay, just give me a minute. Okay. Please respond me. You can see me, you can hear me, and here is a chat box for you. If you have any question, you can ask in the chat box. You can raise your hand. You can unmute your mic and ask me the question. So, my name is Bini Shahzad, and I am an ACCA member and teaching the ACCA students since 10 years, last 10 years. Uh, our paper is Corporate and Business Law. All right. Okay. First of all, once again, it's a practice. Do tell me, uh, can you see me? Can you hear me? Okay, that's good. All right. Okay, students, today is our first class for corporate and business law, and what we are going to do is we will we will have a class objective every day. We will be having a class objective. In class objective there is a list of the outcomes, the outcomes, the topics which we are going to cover in our class. All right. So obviously today is a little introductory class plus the commencement of the topic, new topics. So still, but for the following of the class technique, class pattern, there is a objective of the class. Today is 11 July 2021. In this introduction class, we will have the understanding what is the law, why we need it, what is the link of this paper with the other papers. So, the first class objective is structure of ACCA qualification. Okay, students, please let me know. Can you see the objective of the class on your screens? Okay, that's good. Okay, the first class objective is structure of ACCA qualification. Obviously, we have a understanding what is ACCA and what is a structure. Why we are going to discuss it first so that we can have the idea why we are studying this paper. Then the second objective is aims of the corporate and business law. The third is exam essential papers. This is the link with other papers. Examinable documents, then examinable documents, then number 5, syllabus content, number 6, detailed syllabus, number 7, the exam, number 8, course plan, number 9, class technique, and number 10, introduction of first topic. Clear? These are the 10 objectives of our today's class. So let's start by one. Okay, students. Uh, my all data, my all notes is based on the articles, on the study material, on the study content of the ACC Globe. All right. So you can after this class you can go to the ACC Global website and can have the discussion and can have the view of the all the documents. And further, every document, Hamzah Academy already shared their notes with the students. All right, they have already shared the notes with the students. First, secondly, everything that you see in your screens during the class will be available to you for the quick review of the lecture. Third, you can have the recorded lectures. Fourth, there will be a WhatsApp group of the students, registered students, in which the teacher and student can interact on regular basis. For example, if we are having class today and our next class will be on the next Sunday, and during this class, if you are going through with your lecture, you're preparing your topics that the teacher has already covered in the previous lecture, and you have a question, you have a query, so you don't have to wait for the next class. You can write your question in the WhatsApp. So what will the benefit of this is the tutor will respond you as early as possible. So your queries, not only the class but during the week when the class is not live, will will be resolved on immediate basis, right? So this is the material available on the ACCA Global website, and but I have gathered the chunks of those material to have to give you the understanding about what is our paper and why we are going to study. Okay, see, our ultimate objective is to become a member. All right, our objective is to become a ACCA member. To become an ACCA member, what we have to do is find out more about ACCA foundation level at accglobal.fia. We have gone through with it. The first, the stage of the ACCA qualification is applied knowledge. This is applied knowledge in which there are three papers, and hopefully if you are in this paper, you have cleared with the applied knowledge of the ACCA. Now, there are some papers in the applied skill. Our paper, corporate and business law, fall in the applied skills that are required in the ACCA, in which you have the in this applied skills area of the ACCA qualification, you have the understanding of taxation, reporting, corporate and business law, audit, and the performance management. Right after this skill applied skill area, you are done with the nine papers of the ACCA. So what is the purpose of explaining this thing here is just to give you the understanding that our paper will incorporate applied skill, which is compulsory skill in an accountant. So what is the reason? In this area, in this paper, you will have the understanding of the legal areas in which an accountant will operate, right? For the purpose of this understanding, you must have the to complete your certification, along with the journal parameters, required parameters, there are some applied skills that you must have. So the corporate and business law paper will give you the applied skills. Then after this, you will complete your professional ethics module, and then there is a strategic professional. In the strategic professional, you will choose your preferences, in which field you want to excel. There are 6 options, out of which you have to pick 2. All right. So this is the structure of the ACCA qualification, and you already know about it. But what is the reason of including this chart here is to give you an understanding that our paper, obviously by the name ACCA qualification, ACCA certification. So why we are studying the law? We are studying the law just to have the applied skills that is necessary to complete this certification. And in this certification, you will have the understanding of the legal areas in which accountant will operate. All right. Let's move towards our next class objective. Okay, you see the next class objective. What is the next class objective? Okay, the next class objective is aims of the corporate and business law. what is the aim? Why we are studying the corporate business law? So the aim of the corporate and business law will be, the general aim of law is the development of knowledge and understanding about the general legal framework within which an accountant operates. Obviously, when you're working in an accounts department and there is some fraudulent trading, so how to identify that fraudulent trading, how to report that fraudulent trading, how to treat that fraudulent trading is the part of this area. This paper, this paper will give you the understanding. If in your practical life, if you feel some employee is having some fraudulent activities, then what are your responsibilities regarding that employees? And if in your job career you are facing that that your employer is having some unjust behavior with you, so how to deal that unjust behavior, and what are your rights and what are your obligations. So in this paper, in a particular area of employment, you will have the understanding of that area employment. So these are the legal area. In this paper you will have the understanding of the legal areas, right? Secondly, the very important thing, the very important thing, it has to be emphasized that law does not aim to make candidate into lawyer. You are required to have the understanding of the legal matters, but you are, keep in mind, going you are not going to be a lawyer. So there are some areas in which you are required to have the understanding. Which are those areas that will be elaborated in our next objectives, right? Is it clear? Are you with me till now? Right. Okay, students, the very important thing in our class, your interaction is very important for me. My objective in this class is not just delivering the information of the paper, the topic, but my objective is whatever I am teaching you will be will remain in your minds, right? So my objective of the class is your understanding, your learning. So if you feel uncomfortable at any point, do let me know. If you are not getting any point, you are not having the understanding of any point, if something is not clear to you, you can immediately chat here, right? I will explain that topic again, and then I will move forward. So your interaction is the only source of my information, that you are getting all the points that I am conveying, right? So it's a humble request, please do interact with me in your class through chat box, through conversation. All right. Okay, let's move towards our next class objective, which is okay, tell me which is our next class objective. Essentials, yeah. Exam essential, very good. These are exam essential. This is basically the link of the paper with the other papers, right? Okay. Okay. Firstly, what is the law? The aim of the corporate and business law syllabus is to develop a core level of knowledge and skill around a legal framework in the context of business. I hope this definition is very much clear to all of you now. Now, what is the link? What is the link? Right? Uh, in this paper, in this paper, you will have, firstly you will have the understanding of the English UK English legal system. UK English legal system. What is the legal system? What it includes? How the law is established, how it developed over here, why our society need laws, why we need system, what are the sources which put the contribution in the formation of the law. So in this area, the court structures, the types of law, the stages, how the firstly the one law is established, then there is some addition, then other law, then the other law, then the other law. So types of law, what is law, then types of law, then structure of courts. In structure of courts, you will have the understanding if you have this type of, this nature of problem, this type of dispute, in which court you are required to go, right? So the structure of laws, the structure of law, the sources of law, and at the end the interpretation of the law. And secondly, in the law, there will be the next topic, which is the law of obligation, contract and tort. Contract includes the areas in which there is a dealing in between person, in between businesses. So in this area, we will have the understanding how the what are the essential element of the contract, how it is formed, how what are the terms and conditions of the contract, and how these terms and conditions can be breached, how how a person can exclude its liability, how a person can add the terms to the contract, and how the contract ends. And on the other hand, tort, law of tort. Tort is something which in which you can be hurt, you can have some financial loss. So in this area, the law says there are some elements that generally cannot affect anyone, but that are the part of some ethics. But if you are feel if you are uncomfortable with that acts of some persons, then you can go into the court and have the compensation, right? The second area is employment law, in which you will have the understanding how a contract of employment is made, what are the parties to the contract, what are the terms and conditions, what are the rights and obligation of the employees, employer, and the other parties if they are affecting, and how these contracts can come to the end, right? At the third main element is the formation and constitution of the business agencies, right? The corporate and formation of the companies, the corporate and the formation, the constitution and formation of the agencies, partnership, and corporation and companies. In this area, we will have the understanding of further three areas. One is capital and financing of the companies, how they will get the finance, how their capital is divided into the ownership and the loans, into the capital and the loan, how the loan is divided into the sub categories, and how the capital, the ownership is divided into the subcategories. And then once a finance is arranged for a business, then how to manage and administrator the company, how to deal with the, how to regulate the companies. So we are not only have the general understanding of these areas, we will have the understanding of in these areas in our previous papers of the knowledge level in F1, F2, F3. Here we are going to have the study of the legal impacts, legal areas that can be faced in the practical life. So in share capital, how the share capital is treated, what is the legal limit of the share capital, what is the limit of authorized capital, shared capital, issued capital, what are the rules relating, what are the laws and rules relating to the discount share issues, premium share issues. So this is very much clear that in the this paper, the corporate and business law, there will be the understanding of the legal and technical areas of the of our certification. At the end, how the companies, corporations, agencies and partnerships will be liquidated, will be dissolved, will be insolvent, right? There are certain rules of acts that we are required to study in our class. All right, there are certain rules, there are certain acts that we are supposed to have the understanding in our paper. Okay, at the end, develop an understanding of the corporate fraudulent and criminal behavior, money laundering, bribery, market abuse, and management of fraud. This area will have the impact on the all types of laws we are going to have understanding. The law of obligation, there are chances of fraudulent behavior in the contract law, in the employment law, in the formation of the company. So how we will deal with this fraudulent behavior, fraudulent and criminal behavior, will be give the understanding here in this corporate fraudulent and criminal behavior, right? Are you with me, students? Are you with me, students? All right, good. Okay, let's move towards our next class objective. The next class objective is examinable documents. All right. These are the examinable documents which are going to be tested in your December 2021 attempt. These are the latest documents and examinable in between September 2021 to August 2022. So your December 2021 is fall in this bracket. So the knowledge of new examinable regulation and legislation issued by 31st August will be examinable in the examination session being held in the following calendar year. The following are the examinable documents. We have two variants of this paper, English and Global, and we are going to have the understanding of the English variant in this class, right? In this paragraph they have said, if you have the understanding by, if you have this document by the end of the every document which will be issued by 31st August 2020, then the application of this document will be the next period of the calendar year. For example, if this document must be issued in 2021, 2019, this document will be issued in 2019 and now it is applicable in this session, right? What are the examinable documents for this attempt are: the first is English legal system. In English legal system, in English legal system, there will be a knowledge of civil procedure. There is a, I have already told you, there are certain acts, there are certain acts that are required to have that we are required to have understanding of them, right? The first is English legal system, and there are two acts that we need to have that we need to understand: Civil Procedure Rule Act and Constitutional Reform Act 2005. In this whole area, there are two acts which are required for us to have understanding. In the next area, the law of obligation. In this area, we have the understanding of Unfair Contract Term Act, Contract Right of Third Parties Act 1999, and Consumer Act 2015. So, in unfair contract term acts mean when there is a brief introduction, when one layperson purchases some goods from a person who is expert of that thing. So if a person who has the specific knowledge, who is the expert, can try to have the unfair advantage of his bargaining power, his expertise, then the court will intervene and protect the innocent party. I said unfair benefit. Unfair benefit. If a person who has the expert knowledge, who has the specific knowledge, who is the expert of that field, will have the unjust, unfair benefit. What is the unfair benefit? That means if that person is the owner of a car showroom and he sells the car to a layman is the person who is not having the specific knowledge, who is going to use that car for the first time. Obviously he is not the mechanic, he is not the car owner, so his concern is he need a car which is good in condition, which will help him or her to travel as per her need. So he is a layman. If a person sell, if the expert person sell his car to a layman with the some information, not telling him, not guiding him, and taking the advantage that whatever I am saying is understand is whatever I am saying, the next person is trusting on me. So in this case, if the expert person will have the unjust benefit, then the court will intervene and protect the innocent party. So the Contract Right of Third Parties Act, there is a contract in between two parties. There is a contract in between two parties. The third party cannot enforce the contract, but there is an exception to the general rule. What is the exception? If the third party is getting effect, if the third party is affecting, if the third party is affecting by the acts of the party and party B's contract, then the third party can have right to enforce it because the direct effect is on the third party. So there are other some acts, there are other some acts which we will discuss in our detailed classes. Here are the introduction, here are the names of the acts that we are required to have the understanding, right? The next area is the employment law. The employment law. In the employment law, you will have the understanding of Employment Right Act 1999, the Employment Tribunal Constitution and Rules Procedure Regulation 2013, the Unfair Dismissal and Statement of Reasons for Dismissal, Variation of Qualifying Period Order 2012, the Enterprise and Regulatory Reform Act 2013, and the Small Businesses, Enterprises and Employment Act 2015 is required. So these are 5 acts in the employment law, in this employment law, for which we have the understanding. The next is partnership law. In the partnership law, you will have the understanding of Partnership Act, Act 1890, the Limited Partnership Act 1907, the Limited Liability Partnership Act 2000, and the Civil Liability Act 1978. All right. The next is company law. In the company law, you will have the understanding of Companies Act 2006. The knowledge is required of the Company's Director Disqualification Act, the Insolvency Act 1986, and the Small Business Enterprises and Employment Act 2013. At the end, the Corporate Fraudulent Criminal Behavior, you have the understanding of Criminal Justice Act 1993 in relation to the insider dealing. We will have the knowledge of the areas that are required. Yes, we will have the thorough knowledge of these law, but Obviously, in if we are going to become a lawyer, then on the one act there are number of books that we need to grasp. But as far as our paper is concerned, we will have the some knowledge of or some knowledge of that act, which is applicable, which you will practice in your fields, right? We will have the understanding of these acts in our areas. What are the areas? That is the next class objective. So if we will have the understanding of the, for example, if you will have the, why we will have the understanding of the laws of the corporate fraudulent behaviors. The reason is, if we are in an accounts department and there is a fraudulent behavior, and if we are in an administration position, and we see there is a person who is selling our information, inside information, our secret information, to someone, some other company, our competitors, and the competitors are having benefit from that information, so that person is an insider. So there are lots of rules, there are lots of regulation relating to that area, insider person. Yeah, insider person, or then person selling the secret information of someone. So we will have only few areas of understanding which is suggested by the scheme of study, the course content by the ACCA Global. Otherwise, obviously, these areas have too much rules, too much regulation, but the other regulations are not related. We will have the understanding of the regulation which are related to our certification. Excuse me. All right. Sorry. All right. Clear? Okay. In the corporate fraudulent criminal behavior, we have the understanding of Criminal Justice Act 1993 in relation to the insider dealing, the Proceed of Criminal Act 2002, and the Money Laundering Regulation 2017 in relation to the money laundering, the Financial Services and Market Act 2000 in relation to the market abuse. So there may be different areas, different ways of affecting a business. There is a different frauds, but in this area we will have the understanding of insider dealing, the money laundering, market abuse, and next the bribery, criminal finances, right? These are the acts we will have the knowledge in this paper, right? These are the names of act. When we will be covering our course, when the knowledge of act will come, I will mark and will relate that act with this class. I will tell you, in our first class we have studied that in this area, corporate fraudulent criminal behavior, we have to have the understanding of the six laws. Six law. One is related to insider dealing, the second is related to the money laundering, and then the market abuse, and then the criminal financial crimes, and then the bribery, right? So don't you worry, this is just the introduction, and when I'll deliver that topic, you will know that really these are the problems, these are scenarios which you feel in your routine practical life. I hope you all are job holders, and you all worked and then study on the weekends, so you will have the understanding what we are talking about. You really feel that, oh yes, in the past, at that time, this scenario was happened, and how the person affected deal with it, how if we will feel this type of scenario, how we will deal with it. So in this area, in this class objective, we have the names of the acts. Acts, we will have the understanding of them, right? Okay. The next class objective is syllabus contents, right? Syllabus contents. Okay, we have, can you see the syllabus heading on your screens? Yeah, right. Okay, the first area is going back to the previous document. I want to give you the understanding in how many areas we are going to cover in our paper. One is English legal system, two is law of obligation, three is employment law, four is partnership, and then fifth is company law, and six is corporate fraudulent criminal behavior. There are six areas that we are going to understand, and which is the objective of our whole classes, over our whole classes. All right, the next, okay, now going towards the next area is syllabus content. Okay, firstly, in English legal system, the A, English legal system, what we will have in this English legal system? Law and legal system. What is law and what are the legal system? What are the civil procedures? What are the court structures? Sources of law, how the law is formed. In the next area, we will have the understanding the law of obligations. In law of obligation, formation, how the contract is formed, what are the content of the contracts, how the contract can be breached, and what are the remedies. If you have lost, you will have the remedy of that. Then what are the remedies you have, right? And fourth point, the law of tort and professional negligence. So this is the very important area you are going to understand. Professional negligence. After after completion of your certification, you will be a professional chartered accountant, right? And in your practical life, if some company, some business is depending on your skills, depending on your opinion, and if you do not deal that matter with the reasonable care, reasonable professional skill, then obviously your opinion will not be satisfactory. So if some business, in some corporate, if some contract is relying on your professional skills, then you have a liability on you, that you must have the due care and the professional liability for that. So in the, this is a very important area, the professional negligence. And if you are considered professionally negligent in that areas, you can have the fines, penalty, imprisonment and all, right? The next C is employment law. In the employment law, how the contract of employment is formed, how the employee is dismissed, and what are the redundancies. The next area, formation and constitution of the businesses. In this area, you will have the understanding of the agency law, the partnership law, corporate and legal personality, and the formation and constitution of the company. And then the capital and financing of the companies. Capital and financing of the companies. In this area, you will have what are the journal capitals of the company, which are share capital and loan capital. Obviously, when a company is formed, there is a combination of capital. One is share capital, which is your ownership, which gives you the ownership of the company, and the other is loan capital, which you take for a period of time, and then you return that loan. And obviously, when you have share capital and when you have loan capital, then you must have the understanding how to maintain the capital, and what are the rights of the owners of the loan of the share capital, what are the rights of the holders of the share capital, and what are the rights of the holders of the loan capital. right? So in this area we will have the understanding how the capital is formed, how the companies are financed, and after the financing of the company we will see how the companies will be managed, administrator through the company officer. What are the important, there are so many positions in a company, but here the related positions are companies, who's the registrar of the company, who is the secretary of the company, who is the auditor of the company. All right. So obviously there is one question asked by a student: will we have the thorough understanding of these acts? I just respond, we will have the understandings of the related areas which are relating to our certification. You see, we have so many roles, we have so many positions in the business. But in this area, in this paper, we will have some specific position. We will have the understanding of the rules, regulation, rights, duties of some specific positions which are related to this certification, right? Okay. The next is in the company administration meetings and resolution, how the companies will take their decisions, and then the insolvency law. In insolvency law, how the companies will liquidate, how the life of the company will end, the company will become insolvent or the company will become liquidated. How we will manage the, what are the reasons of the liquidation and insolvency, and how we will manage the liquidation and the insolvency of the company. And second, and at the last, fraudulent and criminal behavior. We already have the understanding. We will have the understanding of insider dealing, money laundering, bribery, right, and others like. Okay, these are the main heads of the syllabus. Main heads of the syllabus. The next, in there is other document which is available, which is detailed, the next class objective, the detailed syllabus of the exam. The detailed syllabus of the exam, I'll share it, but you will have the a bird eye view on that areas, because I have already explained in the contents. The document is detailed syllabus. See, this is 4 to 5 page document, and in which we will have each and every point that we have the understanding, right? Let me explain the one out of them. You will have the all these documents available in your WhatsApp group right after this class if you are registered with us, so that you are not required to note anything. Just focus on your screens and listen to me what I am saying. Otherwise, the all related material will be available to you in the WhatsApp group. The notes are already with you. I hope the notes are already with you, because we have the policy to deliver notes, the first set of notes to the students before the first class. Not yet? Okay. Are you getting this class on trial basis, or you are registered with this class? If, yeah, that might be the reason. That might be the reason. Actually, the policy of the academy is they will share the notes if you are a registered student, and you will be the part of the WhatsApp group if you will register. So what I can do is, for this you can have the screenshot of these areas. At the end of my this introduction, I will open all the documents one by one, so that you can have the screenshot and you will understand it later. You will study it, and you can relate how what we are going to do, because in my opinion that material must be with you if you want to understand what the teacher said in the class, right? All right, this is all right for me if you are here for on the trial basis, right? You can have the screenshots, but let me finish it first, then I'll give you 10 to 15 minutes and I'll open one by one all document that we have covered till now, right? You can have the screenshots, and then so that you must have, you take the classes, you register in the class or not, doesn't matter for me what I am delivering. You will get it. That is important for me, right? You will have the screenshot, but after some time. Okay. Detail, in this, see, in this detailed area, what we have the understanding. I'm going to explain one area, and then you will have the detailed document with you, and you will see what we are going to understand. The first is formation. In the first, if the we will have the understanding of law of obligation, we will see, and we will see, analyze the nature of the simple contract. Okay. Analyze the nature of a simple contract. What is simple contract? See, what is the structure of delivering knowledge in this paper is, firstly, you will have the general understanding. We all know what is contract, what, how a contract is made. Then we will see what are the elements of that contract. uh, then we see there must be, we know there must be some uh, terms and conditions related to that contract, we all know. And then the contract is actually performed, and the contract is end. You can see, I can explain this in an example that is obviously very familiar with you. If you go for a shopping, you see some shirts in the display. You ask for the information about that shirt. What information you need is, uh, what is the price, what are the color available, what are the sizes available, and what are the other options. So you generally, obviously this happens, and when you like some shirt and really wanted to buy it, you take that shirt off from the hanging, and go to the counter and say, I want this shirt, please pack it for me. And you pay, and before paying, you also say, if the size doesn't fits me, can I replace it? I want the color of the shirts will not will be like it will be right all the time, right? The color will not be faint, the fabric uh, will not be will not be on the quality, will not be on the quality. So these are the terms you want, you expect from that product before you buy. So then we purchase the shirt and we use it. The contract, the point when you go to the counter and pay for it and get the shirt, is a contract. The contract is executing. But the previous situations are, but the previous steps are, what are that previous steps? When you go into the market and you see the shirt on the hanging, is the invitation to treat, is the journal, is the invitation to treat. A shopkeeper is attracting you, is inviting you, come to me and make me the offer and buy from me. So this is invitation to treat. When you ask some information, you are, this is called supply of information. Supply of information. When you get that shirt from the hanging and go to the counter, you are making offer. And if the shopkeeper is saying yes, it is available for you, then, and we will sell it to you, it is his acceptance, right? And then what is the consideration, what is the reason of the contract? Is your consideration is the shirt of your choice, and the shopkeeper's consideration is the income, the price you are giving for the shirt, right? And the terms and condition, you are deciding about the color, about the size, about the fabric, are the terms of the condition. See, if a shopkeeper adds, if you will wash it with hand, it will, the fabric of the fabric of the shirt will remain as it is for years. But if you wash it in the machine, then it may not be in its current position for a longer time. So what he is doing, he is giving you the information and excluding his liability, that if you wash you are asking about the fabric of the shirt, the color of the shirt. It is clear, it is guaranteed that it will be as it is for a long time if you wash it with your hands. So by including this line, he is including his liability, if liability for mishandling of the fabric. All right, so this is again the part of the contract. All right, and when you buy the shirt and after you see on the first hand wash, the fabric of the shirt is destroyed, then what the situation arise, that the shopkeeper is in breach of the contract. All right, so what you will do, you will bring that shirt, destroyed shirt, to the shopkeeper and say, you promised, you committed, you conveyed this to me, and this is not actually the reality. Now pay me for the shirt or give me the new shirt. So he is in the breach of contract and you are claiming for the remedy. So this is a journal scenario that you see, that you practice in a journal life. What our paper do, what the corporate and business law do, is just give you the practical terms of these scenarios. Clear? I hope I make myself clear. What I have to, I have what our paper does is to give you the technical words, technical understanding of these journal practicing life methods in a law, right? So in formation of contract, what we will have the understanding, analyze the nature of the simple contract, then what is meaning, what is and how it is distinguished from invitation to treat, how the offer will be terminated. That means if you go on the counter with the shirt and you say, I want to buy this shirt, and the shopkeeper say, I have the only piece for display and this is already sold. So I am not having the other piece to other piece for you. So this is what, this is termination of the offer. With termination of the offer, the contract ends right here at the first element of the contract. Then what is the acceptance, meaning of acceptance, then what is the consideration, what is the sufficiency and adequacy of the constitution, and then privity of the contract. Privity is a word obtained from the part of the contract. See, privity of the contract, journal rule is the parties who are the part of the contract can enforce each other. The other party, which is not part of the contract, cannot enforce the contract, right? And at the end, what is the legal relation of the contract? See, you also practice in your real life that if you make some promises in your professional life, then you are supposed to fulfill that promises. All right, that you are supposed to fulfill that promises, because the nature of the business, the nature of the dealing is business dealing, is professional dealing, in which whatever you say you have to fulfill. On the other hand, if your sister promises you, if you clear your ACCA certification, I will give you a mobile phone or I will give you a car. This promise is just out of her love and her care for you. She cares for your future. That's why she wants you to be committed with your certification, with your studies, and for that purpose she is saying, if you do that, if you achieve the objective, you will have this gift from me. And later, if she doesn't give you the card, doesn't give you the mobile, you will see, you will not sue her, you will not bring her to the court, because she's your sister, and the nature of this type of relations with your sister, with your mother, with your father, is usually not binding. But in this case, if you mention it, okay sister, I'll follow you, but If you will not give me the car, I will bring you to the court. So in this case, what you are saying, although the relation, our relation is not formal, but I'm taking your words very seriously. So in this scenario, the journal rules can be changed. See, the other thing that we will have to understand is, first, there are some journal rules, and then there are some exceptions, there are some reasons how this journal rule can be changed, how we can say we can alter these journal rules. Clear? Clear, students? Hmm. That's very good. Okay. Okay. You want me to explain all these areas? Okay. The first, let me explain it just in a quick manner. In the law and the legal system, defining what is, we will have the understanding what is law, what are the types of law, explain the structure of law, structure and operations of the court, means types of law, and then structure, civil court structure, then criminal court structure, then civil procedures. We will have the understanding in this area. And in this, there a second element of the English legal system is explain what is the meant by case law and precedent, what is the legislation, what is the delegated legislation, what are the rules or interpretation of the court laws, and then impact of the interpretation on the Human Right Act. Right? I have already explained the law of obligations. In this law of obligation, the second area is content of contract, which is terms of the contract, distinct terms of the contract, the terms of the contract, whether these are terms or representation. There are various contractual terms, exclusion clauses, terms and conditions, warranties. Explain the contract over consumer contracts and operations of the exclusion clause. Here we will have the understanding of Unfair Contract Term Act. Right? Right? But what we will do is we will have the understanding of the area, and then we will have the understanding of the related laws which we have discussed in the previous document. Right? Okay. The next, how the contract is breached. The contract can be discharged, the contract can be breached. If the contract is breached, what are the common remedies, what are the rules of deciding what are the damages, what are the rules to decide how much damages, and how to compensate that damages through remedies, and see what are the equitable remedies and what are the just remedies for the loss. In the next area, the law of tort, explain what is the meaning of tort, what is meaning of the passing off, explain the what is the tort of negligence, what is the remoteness and casualty of the of the damages, and what are the defenses against the negligence, and at the end, the professional care and duty of care of the accountants and auditors towards their, or towards the persons who are relying on their information, who are relying on their knowledge. Right? Employment law, discussion employees, and what is the difference between employee and a self-employed. Explain the nature of the contracts in between employee and self-employed and employer, redundancy and dismissal, what is the termination of the employment, what is the distinguish between the summary and constructive dismissal, wrongful dismissal, unfair dismissal, remedies available against the dismissal, and what is meant by redundancy payment and operations of the rules relating to it. And then the formation of the agency law. What is the agency law? What is the agent? What is the principal? How their relation is formed? Then what are the authorities of the agent and what are the liabilities of the agents, and how the agency law will end. And then the partnership law. What is the meaning of partnership? What is the meaning of types of partnership? Limited, unlimited, limited by liability. And then formation of the partnership. Then authority of the partners, liability of the partners, how the partnership is ended. And again, distinguish between the sole trader, what is meant by sole trader, what is meant by corporate, what is meant by company, what is the private company, what is the public limited company, how the company is separate from its owners, from its directors, and what is meant by separate legal personality, and when the concept of separate legal personality is ignored. And then the formation and constitution of the company. What are the duties of the company promoters who form the company. And then what is the meaning, rules and regulation relating to the pre-incorporation. The procedures of the company describe the strategy books, records and returns, the registers that company need to maintain. And secondly, the financing of the company. What is the share capital, types of share capital, rights attached to the share capital, allotment of share, effect of shares on premium and discount. And then loan capital. What are the borrowings, what is the loan capital, what are the debentures, what are the charges, what is the fixed charge, what is the floating charge, how to differentiate between fixed and floating charge. And then capital maintenance, in which the very important area is dividend, which is the right of the shareholders, and the interest, which is the right of the loan holders. So how to manage and maintain this, maintain the capital, is the one area. The company officer, through which company can be operated. In this company officer, there is a director, there is a company secretary, there is a registrar, there is a shareholder, sorry, there is a registrar, right. These are, there is a auditor. We will have the understanding of their rights and duties relating to administration of the company. And then meeting, how the company will decide, take the decisions by the meetings, the types of the meetings, rules relating to the meetings, how to how to decide a thing, what are the quorum required to decide, to take a decision. So these things we will discuss in this area. Insolvency Act, when the company, when the partnership, when the sole tradership, when a corporate will dissolve. This will be in the on insolvency law. And how we will manage, we will administrator the insolvency, we will administrator the liquidation of the company, will we will be discussed in this area. And then on the other hand, corporate and fraudulent behavior, we have already have the understanding. We will have how what is the risk, how we can have the understanding that one person is in a fraudulent and criminal behavior. And the areas we will study is the insider dealing, bribery, market is abuse and all. So if a person will be involved in these type of activities, how we will deal with it, will have the understanding in this corporate, fraudulent and criminal behavior. Understand? Are you with me? This is a quick view of the detailed syllabus. Are you with me? Is everything is clear to all of you? Okay, everything is understandable. If you want to ask any question, you can. Yes, it's bit bulky, but we have 3 hours class, and till now there is only 1 hour and 30 minutes. We have another 1 hour and 30 minutes. See, this is the whole syllabus that we have to cover in 16 classes of 3 hours. So yes, it seems very bulky, but when once you will practice it, you will feel these are the journal things. As far as the content, the words are concerned, you may feel you may feel it bulky, but when we study it in our regular class, then you will not feel it bulky. This is the whole syllabus you will be tested. Yes, I will cover the whole syllabus, and I will give you the understanding of the all areas. My class technique, which I practice over years, is to cover the all 100% areas, to equip you with the material, with the notes, with the slides, with the material which I shared on your screen. I will equip you with all the material. We will have the exam type questions practice in our class, right? In our class, we will practice the all exam questions, or not all, but maximum exam questions, so that we must have the understanding how to pass this paper. See, uh, the answer of your question, will you cover the 100% syllabus? The answer is yes, I will cover the 100% syllabus, and I will cover in such technique that if you will remain focused in your class, if you will not miss your class, then the 80% effort will be in the class and 20% will be for you after the class. Our objective is to pass this paper, and the paper pattern is MCQs. Our next class objective is paper pattern. In that paper pattern, I can explain you the importance of 100% course coverage. See, if the paper is MCQs type, there are so many questions. There are 50 questions, 60 questions, 70 questions, option question, multiple task questions. Then the examiner has option to test you from anywhere from the syllabus. In the traditional areas, there is a chance when the examiner assess you on writing based papers, there is a chance he may assess you in some areas, and some areas are of more importance and some areas of are less important. In that area, what the teachers do, they will focused on the important areas more. They cover the whole syllabus but focus on the important areas more. But what is the drawback of that? This is the reason there is a low pass rate. In the past, when the paper structure was not like that, the pass rate of this paper was very low. What is the reason? Teachers do not cover the 100% syllabus. They only focus on the important areas, and whenever the examiner test from the other areas, the students will be have the less knowledge, and they do not put their knowledge into the paper. But in this stream, when we have the MCQs type papers, the examiner has chance to test you from anywhere. So you have to pay full attention on the coverage of 100% syllabus. Our luckily in this stream, usually we have 50 classes of 3 hours on every Sunday till October. But in this session we may have, because most of the months are 31st date, 31st day. So one or more Sunday, we may have one or more Sunday. I'll be available for your practice, for your question. You even text me on the WhatsApp that we are practicing this topic and this is the question, this is the MCQ, and we are not clear on that. I will respond you. I will give you my opinion. I will give you the understanding right after your text. Right? So 100% course coverage is important because our paper pattern is like that. But at, so 100% syllabus coverage is important, but we also have an ease. What is the at ease? When the stream is not changed, the students were supposed to convert his thoughts and opinion and understanding and knowledge on the paper. So they have to prepare themselves differently. But in this scenario, the advantage is that you do not need to put your understanding and knowledge on the paper. You have scenarios, you have options. Sometimes you don't know about the concept, but the options clicks. But the options give you the guidance. There are so many approaches. When you do not know, when you do not know about one answer, so there are too many approach. Backward thinking, backward process of getting the conclusion. I will guide you on the all the tips and techniques relating to the to the paper. How you will pass the paper, how you will handle the question, you will handle the multiple choice question, how will handle the objective task question, how you will handle the scenario based question. So if you do not have the understanding of any topic, if you unfortunately if you don't get chance to revise the topics on one day before exams, these general techniques will help you out to get the maximum marks, to get the maximum marks. So these are the tips and techniques you will get during the class time by time. I can assure you, you will cover and you will have the 80% understanding, if you 80% effort, if you put 80% effort in the class, and I will leave only 20% after the class. And for that 20%, I will always available. I will 24/7 available for you, for my students, to help them out to get their paper pass. All right. So don't worry. Yes, it's little bulky, but we will cover it in a manner that you will never feel burden. Right? We'll have the understanding of a topic, complete uh, understanding of the topic. We will not move forward if any student of the class will not understanding me. Right? We will clear that topic first. We will have the understanding of that topic first. Once it is clear to us, then we will move forward. And at the end of the class, you will have a detailed notes available of Hamzah Academy available with you, the very short summary of the syllabus, which I shared on your screens in every class, will be available to you. One is for a detailed study. The second is for a quick review, which is very helpful to cover, to revise all the syllabus one day before paper. So the combination of these paper will get you pass in your exam. All right. I hope that this words will make you relax, make you relax. I will recommend you the books. See the notes which we have compiled, which Hamzah Academy compiled, are from the different sources. We collect the information from your different publishers like Kaplan, like your BPP. We collect the material. We uh, we we get the we get the crux of the topic and put it in the detail of the put it in the detailed notes of the Hamzah Academy. So, in my opinion, there is no need to buy books. If you go through with the notes of the Hamzah Academy, and if you practice the kits, the question bank that we will provide you, then it will be okay. Yes, for that, if you are concerned about your textbooks, I can guarantee you that I will when we will practice the question bank, that question banks will be from different publishers. So if you are getting that question, if you are answering that question bank properly, easily, that means you have the all necessary knowledge. So firstly firstly go with the summaries which I share on the in my lectures. Secondly, go through with the detailed notes of the Hamzah Academy. If you do these two things, then I don't think so you need to study the book, the whole book. But if you have time, my understanding is You are the job holders, you work for 8 hours throughout the week, and then on the Saturdays, Sundays, you complete your qualification. But if you have time, you are a full-time student, then I will suggest, okay, for okay, for your satisfaction, you can buy book and go through with that. But Hamzah Academy's detailed notes are enough for your exam preparation to get your exam pass. What we will do, Hamzah Academy's detailed notes plus question bank of all publishers. So this will help us out to get our paper pass. I hope I make myself clear, and I hope I try to relax you, because you were a little upset by saying the detail of the syllabus, but this is not that much detail that we cannot cover. We have 16 classes of 3 hours. All right. Okay, let's move towards our next class objective. That is, okay, tell me what is our next class objective? It's the exam. Very good. See, your interaction, your questions are very important for me. If you ask question, if you interact with me, then I have the understanding that you are getting my points. I'm making myself clear to you. I'm achieving my objective of the class. So your interaction is very, very, very important for me. See, the exam. Now we have studied, we have the understanding what is the structure, why we are studying this paper, what is the aim of this paper, what are the examinable acts, what are the examinable topics, what is the syllabus. Now after covering of whole syllabus, how we will be tested is our next class objective, which is the exam. All right, so for that, just give me a minute. Hmm. Okay. Okay, I also want to give you the understanding, which is how the corporate and business law is related with the other papers. It is in between a stream. It is in between a stream. Obviously, it is the part of the applied knowledge of our qualification, audit and assurance, financial reporting, and then corporate and business law, which is again related to the strategic business reporting, SBR. So our paper is in between and it helps in mainly in the audit and assurance and the strategic business reporting. It relate with the two papers. All right. Next, the next point is the exam. See, what is the exam? Take the screenshot of the exam. Okay, I'll give you the chance to take the screenshot of all documents. Right, keep it. The syllabus is assessed by a 2 hours computer based exam. What is important in area, we have 2 hours computer based exam. All right, 2 hour means how many minutes? 120 minutes. Right. And how many, and what we will have, the paper will be divided into two sections, section A and section B. Section E will be objective test questions, A, and section B will be multitask questions. This is also called OT questions, MT questions. All right. So in section A, there will be 45 questions. 45 question. In the 45 question, 25 will be 2 marks objective questions, which will be 50% of the paper, and 21 mark question, which is 20% of the paper. Clear? The questions which have it have multiple options, but the question 2 marks questions may have 4 options. All right, the question of 1 mark may have 3 options. In 2 marks question, you are required to choose your right answer out of 4 options. And in 1 mark question, you have you have to choose one right option out of 3 options. Clear? In section B, there is a multitask question. There is a small scenario. How the scenario will come. See, when you have the in my class, in my today's class, when I was delivering the concept of contract, I give you the example of buying a t-shirt, right? So this is the scenario I put in front of you, and then I explain the journal steps with the technical terms. These are the journal steps we perform, and in our paper we give these journal steps, these technical words. So this is the scenario. In our whole syllabus, when there is a new concept, there is an example with it. When we cover the concept, when we have the understanding of the concept, and then we have the example of that concept, this is the scenario. After having the concept and reviewing the example, we can have the idea if this type of scenario will arise in our professional life, what will be our decision. So our decision will be the rule that we are understanding, that we are gaining the information about, right? So in this multiple task questions, what we will do, there is a scenario. The scenario relating to a particular topic. When we read the scenario, we recall the rules relating to that scenario in our mind. And then by keeping in mind that rules, we will make a decision. We will make an answer. We will make an image of that scenario. And relating to that scenario, the examiner will ask you questions. This area is analysis based area. This area is application based area. Whatever you have studied, how to apply that area in your exams, in your practical lives. This area is basically the application area of the paper, of the concept, right? So how many questions do you have? You may have 25 questions, and then you have 5 questions. For 50 questions you have, and you have 100 marks, and you need 50% marks to pass this paper. So can anyone tell me how many time you have to get 1 mark? Mhm. We have, how many time we have to gain 1 mark is 1 120 minutes and 100 marks. Is it in 1.2 minute per hour per mark? You have 1 minute and 20 seconds to get 1 marks. All right? Okay. Acha. We will practice some other things. How to answer. See the question in the first section A. You may not take 1.2 minutes for 1 mark. You may take half time. Many students get this section A in a very quick manner, in a very short time, and then they have that because the section B required your analysis, so the analysis requires some time. So what we will do, we will save time from section A and we will serve that time in section B. So these are different techniques of the exams that I will share you during the question bank practices, right? The yes, they may ask select two options. They may give you four options, and they ask you tick any two of them, two right of them. So you are in that case. See, these are 25 of in section A, 25 of 2 marks question mean they may ask you 42 marks. In that scenario, the question the marks will be allocated as one mark for one option, the second marks is for the second option, right? So when we will have the practice of that questions, then we will understand, we will have the techniques to encounter the paper, how how to how how to deal with the paper, how to treat with the paper with the objective of getting the paper passed. There are so many techniques that I will share with you, how to deal with a question. If you are not having the idea of the answer of one question, then what we will do, how to apply the backward approach to get the right answer. So these are different approaches that we apply in our exams. These approaches will be discussed in the question bank practicing during our classes, right? So you are not you do not need to worry about it when we will be in the middle of the syllabus, or when we will be we will complete some syllabus with the practice. You will have the understanding how easy it is to pass the exam, right? Clear? Are you with me? If you are clear with these things, then we will move our next class objective, which is very, very important. Okay, that's good. Let's move. Can you see the class, the next objective of the class? Can you see the screen? Actually, why I am asking this again, because when I shuffle my screen, there may be chances that screen is not in front of you. Yes, course plan. Very good. Okay, come to the course plan. Very good. Okay, we have the understanding what is paper, what is aims, what is the exams, what are the course contents, what are the acts, what is the exam. The very important area is how we will cover our syllabus. How we will cover our syllabus. I have spread the whole syllabus into our classes. Okay, can you see this screen? Yes, the first date is Class 1, Sunday, July 11, 2021. In this area, in our this class, what we have cleared so far is structure of ACCA, aims, exam essentials, examinable documents, syllabus, detailed syllabus, content of the syllabus, detailed syllabus, the exam, the course plan, the class techniques, and introduction of our first class topic. Do you consider we are on this class plan, on the plan of our today's class? Do you consider we plan the class and we convey the topics, and that is the plan of that was the plan of this class? Yes. So we have 16 classes. We have 16 classes of 3 hours. Class duration is 3, and I have divided the whole syllabus into the different classes. See, in our first class, second class, which is on July 18, 2021, there will be these topics that we cover: sources of law, and then practice of the English legal system, and then concept of formation of the contract. In our next, the third class, we will have the understanding of these topics. In our fourth class, we have the understanding of these topics. These topics, and then these topics. And see, after the completion of every topic, I have mentioned a practice question, right? Practice questions, practice questions, practice questions, and practice questions. And in the all course plan, we have the practice questions. See, practice questions, practice questions, practice questions here. You see, practice questions, practice questions, practice questions, practice questions, and then practical practice mock exam. This is a complete 2 hours paper, which is very important practice for your exam. So we have the course plan, how we will cover our 100% syllabus in our classes, right? Clear? If you want to see it, you can see it. I will give you the chance to take the screenshots at the end of the class. Clear? Yes. Good. Okay. And next class objective is class technique. What will be our class technique? Every class will start with a list of class objectives, and at the end of the class, topic of the next class will be shared. So you see, in the course plan, objective of every class is mentioned. So what we will do, we will pick the class objective from the course plan and cover them one by one, practice them, and then at the end of the class, you have the topics of the next class with you, right? This will be the course plan are very effective as far as the teacher is concerned and as far as the students are concerned. As the teachers are taking the benefit of a planned class, teacher knows what to deliver, what is the next, what to say, what to convey. And on the other hand, students also have the chance to get to have an eye on the performance of the teacher. So it's a dual, it's a benefit for both parties, right? So our class is 3 hours class on every Sunday on the same time, which is 8:15 to 11:15, and then we will start our class with a class objective, and we will cover we will cover our objectives one by one, and then we will practice at the end, after the completion of each topic. We will practice the questions, exam based questions, and then we move forward. During the class, uh, during the class, your interaction is very important for me. You can ask question. We will have we will hold I will give you 5 to 10 minutes to review the lecture, the ongoing lecture, and if you have question, you can ask. But if due to some reasons, if you do not ask question, or during the lecture you feel you have the understanding of all things, but after the lecture, when you are preparing your class, you are preparing your topic, and you feel that I'm not clear on this point, then to facilitate this type of questions, we have a WhatsApp group. In the WhatsApp group, you can type your question, you can send a voice message that, ma'am, I'm not clear with this topic, please explain it again. So the most of the time I will respond to you on the WhatsApp group. But but if that question is from so many students, then in the at the start of the next class, firstly I will explain your questions that you ask in the WhatsApp group, and then we will go for our class objective. So if you want to add anything in the class techniques, please do let me know. And at the end, there are some words which are red highlighted as student interaction during classes. All right. Your interaction is the only source of information that I am conveying the concept. You are having the understanding. If I answer some question, some answer, if I question something from you, answer me. Your wrong answer is acceptable for me. Is I will or I will appreciate your wrong answer, because that wrong answer will will guide me that I have to convey this topic again. So, but if you do not ask anything, I will be blank. I don't want this class as that teacher is conveying, but student is not focusing. I want your focus. I want your maximum effort, 80% effort in class. I know you are professional people, you have less time. That's why I want to use these 3 hours very effectively. I want you to have the maximum effort in this class. After class, you can have the 20% effort. You will do the 20% effort, and you will pass this exam with very good scores. All right? Is it clear? Are you with me? Anything you want to add in the class technique? Okay. I am available on the platform of Hamzah Academy forever, and I will request Hamzah Academy that after the October, obviously the classes will not be resumed, but the WhatsApp group that we make will be live till your exams. So yes, I will be available on WhatsApp group. Yes, obviously, it is the basically about the crash course. We I can say actually Hamza Academy have different tutors of different papers multiple tutors for different papers, and I cannot promise you that the crash course will be start by my name. There may be there, but there is a confirmation that there will be a crash course of law paper, but it is not the commitment that that crash course is offered by my name. So I will be available on the WhatsApp group of this class because it is already announced. But there will be a crash course of this paper. Yes, there will be a crash course of this paper after October. But the crash course, it is the planning of Hamzah Academy. They may start the crash course with me, or they may plan crash course with some other teacher, with the name of some other teacher. So it is the I am available, but it is the planning of the Hamzah Academy, right? If they start the crash course with my name, then I am available for the crash course as well. And if they start with the other paper, then I'll available for my students on the WhatsApp group to guide them, right? Okay, good. The next, okay, students, let's have 5 minutes break, right? Then I will give you I will open all the examinable documents. You may take the screenshots. I will open all the objectives. You may take the screenshots, and then I will give you the short description of the first topic, first area of our syllabus. So take a break of 5 minutes and then take the screenshots, and then we will go the for the first topic. You are always welcome. Okay, take a break of 5 minutes. Welcome back. Welcome back. C. Take the screenshot of this area. Done. May I move to the next? Okay. The second.
Listen to it.
Can you hear me, students?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. Sorry, then there was internet interruption. Mm. Screen share. Yeah. Okay. Done with this? Okay. The next is take the screenshot. Okay. The next is this area. Done? check. Take the screenshot. Then this. Okay. Okay. Done. Okay. Okay. Okay, students, can you see this the topic, class topic, English legal system? No, okay, just a moment. No share and this this. Can you see it now? Yes, that's good. Okay, this is our first topic of the syllabus, which is the English legal system. English legal system. In this English legal system, we have the understanding of what is law, why we need law, how it is developed over year, and what elements contribute in the development of the law, and then types of the law, and then court structures that include civil court structure and criminal court structure, and then Civil Procedure Rules Act 1998, and then European Court of Human Rights Act ECHR, and then European Court of Justice and the Privy Council. This is the objective of our class, of our first topic of the syllabus. All right, let's move one by one. See, law. What is law? Why it is important for society? How law developed over time? Okay, basically, in general words, law is a set of rules that govern the human society. Law is something which developed over thousands of years. Let me tell you how the society needs, why we society thought that why we need a law. In the early days of human existence, the survival was very difficult. People live for food only. They lived in groups. Some groups are with more powers, and the other groups are with low power. The only problem of their survival was food. So they fight over food. They kill themselves for food. So there is a no rule of life. There is a no rule of dealings with each other. There is no rule of trades with each other. So they thought one day on this pattern, of killing each other for food, we will finish one day we will finish all. So we need a mechanism to live our lives, to not to fight for food. We must have rules decided by which we can decide who can owe what thing, and if someone is not having anything, how they can have it without killing each other. The methods of trade. So what they have decided, they need a set of rules. That set of rules which is necessary for the governance of a society is called the law, which is developed over thousands of years. Clear? So what is on your screen? Let's see it now. Law is a set of rules govern the human society developed over years. In the early days of human existence, survival was achieved by working as a group. There was a very fine line between life and death. Human kills their fellow humans for food. Then they rely on each other for survival. Humans survive by Okay, can you hear me? Can you hear me, students? Okay, good. I need to share my screen again. This. Okay. Can you see the screen? That's good. Okay. Come back. So what they need social control mechanism to live life. So why we need law is to live life, to have the rules, to know how to interact with each other, how to deal with each other, how to trade, how to operate business. So the rules are called the law. So what type of mechanism they have? They have two type of social control mechanism. First is formal control mechanism, and the other is informal control mechanism. In social control mechanism, the example is law. But as far as the informal control mechanism is concerned, the example is ethics. What is the difference between formal and informal control mechanism? In control mechanism, there are set of rules which provide you the structure how to deal with disputes, how to deal with each other, how to settle the procedure to stop or discourage disputes. So the purpose of the law is not only to resolve the dispute, but it also provide you the set of the rules which stop arising the disputes, which discourage the disputes. So in formal control mechanism, you have set of rules which tells you how to interact with each other, how to deal with each other, how to operate business, how to resolve a dispute, and how to discourage a dispute, how to stop to arise a dispute. So in law, if you follow the rules decided by the state, decided by the formal control mechanism, that set of rules is called law, right? And if you follow the law, then it will be appreciated. But if you do not follow the law, there must be some punishment, some fines to force you that you cannot again go against the law. So the law is the set of rules that everyone has to follow, has to follow. There is no choice. You cannot leave that by your own option, because there is no option. You have to follow law. If you don't follow the law, the state, the country, this country state will force you to follow the law by posing fines, imprisonments, and different punishments. Right? On the other hand, there is an informal control mechanism in which usually the ethics involves. So ethics are basically the conduct, the behaviors. If you make that behavior you're good, fine. If you do not follow the ethics rules and these are not relating to the professional life, then the code do not involves. So in law you have to follow rules, you have to follow formal control mechanism, but in informal control mechanism there are set of rules are available for your help, for your guidance, but if you follow them it's good, but if you do not follow them it's your own choice. But again there is an exclusion: ethics must be for journal rules of life. But if it is ethic is professional ethicals, then there are again set of rules that you have to follow. All right? Okay. So what the screen says, law is the set of rules that society has to follow. And if society do not follow rules, it will be punished. All right? Now, I hope the law is clear. The concept of law is clear. Why we need, what is law, why we need law. Law is a part of social control mechanism. Law is a set of rule which tells us how to live life, how to interact with each other, how to deal with businesses, how to operate businesses, how to trade with each other. And law is the rule which you have to follow. All right, are you with me, students? Okay, good. Okay, clear? Law is clear. The definition of law is clear. Good. Okay. The next is types of law. These types of law is also the part of development of the law. The very first law that was introduced was common law. And then there are some improvements in the common law and it will become equity law. And from the equity we have again improved and that become a statutory law, statute law. It's a state, not status, it's a statute law. All right. Okay, then private law and public law. When statute decide a law, it is again divided into a private and public law. Private law which affects the individuals and the public law which affects the whole general public, right? And at the end the private and public law is again divided into civil and criminal law. All right, so this is the steps of development of law and these are the types of law. There are four types of law. The first is common law and equity. The second is statute. This word is statute law. And the third is private and public law. And the fourth one is the criminal and civil law. Let's move towards our common law. Common law is the law when there is a rule of kings followed. This is the very earliest system of the law when the countries, the states are ruled by the kings. There are rigid rules set by the royal court and how that rules are applied. That rules are applied through the judges of the king. The judges of the king traveled around the country to observe whether the rules set by the kings are followed or not. Right? If the rules of the judge of the king was followed, then it's okay. But if there are some areas where the rules of king was not followed, then they pose harsh consequences. They pose harsh consequences over there. All right, and the damages were monetary remedies. They get fined from them. If they do not give the fine, they put them into the imprisonment. So how the rules were decided? By the journal life practices. The king decide the rules, and the judges of the kings travel around the state and observe the peace, observe whether the rules decided by the king are applied or not. If anywhere they find that the rules are not applied, they give the harsh consequences, and there are some remedies, the fines imposed by the judges of the king for not following the orders of the king. This is the very first stage of the common law. This is very first stage of the establishment of the law, which is common law. When they are living their life on the pattern of the common law, another law was introduced, which is the law of equity law. When the equity law come into existence, they give an addition to the common law. Which law? As they give, the common law was giving the compensation only for the monetary loss. If someone has loss of some money or something, the common law say give them that thing, give them his money, compensate his loss. But if someone do not have any loss, any monetary loss, then the common law do not treat it. So what the equity law add the concept of fairness into the common law. The equity law introduce the concept of fairness into common law. All right. So the equity law apply where money is not suitable remedy. That means that introduces fairness and justice. Equitable damages mean the damages equal to the loss. The damages equal to the loss. The example of unique painting is a very good example here. If someone wants to buy a unique painting due to some emotional attachment with it, if a person wants to buy a unique painting with personal attachment with it, due to personal attachment with it, and the seller commits to sell that payment to sell that unique painting to party A. Party A is the person who wants to buy a unique painting. The B is the person who is the seller. He is the seller, he is the buyer, and there is a agreement between both of them, A and B, that B will sell the unique painting to the A. But unfortunately, when the A went to the B to have the painting, the B said he already sold that painting to C. Now, do you think the A have any financial loss? He didn't pay for the painting, he didn't get the painting. So there is a no agreement between A and B, and A do not have any financial loss. But the equity law give right to the A that he can go to the court and have the equitable remedy, equitable damages. What he will say, he wants to take that painting just because of its uniqueness. The attachment, the A wants that painting due to the personal or emotional attachment with that painting. So the element of having it's his money, not painting, do not satisfy his need. His need will be satisfied by having the painting. So what the equity law will do? Equity law will do, if the B first committed A to sell the painting to A, then he cannot sell that painting to C. What the equity law will do? It force the B to get the unique painting back from C and give it to the A. Fairness, equitable damages. See, A do not have any monetary loss because he didn't pay for the painting, he didn't get the painting. But what equity laws say, whether he is not having the financial loss, but his need, but his satisfaction will be achieved by having that unique painting. So if B at the first phase agreed to sell that unique painting to A, now the B is enforced. The B is enforced to get that painting back from C and sell it to the A. So what the equity law introduces, equity law says introduces fairness and justice and equitable remedies. Clear? Obviously B will withdraw its contract. Obviously B will withdraw its contract from C, and maybe C may get some other painting because there may be some conditions that C is not having any personal attachment with that paintings, and obviously the court will force that contract which is made first, the first agreement will be prevailed, will be get the importance. Then the court obviously, if A has right to go to the court for his the enforcement of the law, then maybe C also have the right to go to the court that I have the painting, now I have the painting, I will not return it back. So the principal rule is the court will support the innocent party, court will support the justice, fairness, or maybe the court will force that a B will have the painting and sell it to the B will get back the painting from the C and sell it to the A, and arrange another painting which is satisfactory for the C and provide that painting to the C as well. See, the justice is important. Justice and fairness is important, whether it is between and for the contract of A and B, and between and for the contract of B and C, right? Your point is very valid. If A can go to the court, then obviously C can also go to the court. But how the court will prioritize the disputes, he will enforce the contract which is made first, and then he will also provide some suggestion or some result or some resolution for the contract which is made later, right? Okay, move next. I hope I have made the common law and equity law clear. Is it clear? Okay, good. The next is statute law. The next is statute law. Okay. What is statute law? When there is a equity law, when there is a common law, there are some development and it will become an equity law. Equity law introduces fairness and justice, and then the set of rules spread over states, over different states. So what they did, they have different people from different having different knowledge, so they call them judges. They have different people from different areas of expertise and pool them together. So we say they have gathered different judges of different experience, multiple experience and expertise, and get them collected. This is called statute law. They observe the society with different opinions, with different skill set, and then set rules for every area, right? So what is the addition in the law by statute law? There is an addition of the expertise of the every area. So what is the statute law? There are different judges having the different mindset, having the different expertise. They grouped together to observe the rules of lives of the society, and then decide the rules for that society, considering in the mind the expertise of that area, the expertise of that areas, right? This is called the statute law. Statute law, law made by different judges, group of different mind people having different skills, make laws, laws whose society observes. Group of judges will make collection of judges in a group is called parliament, and anything which is decided in the parliament is called law, statute law. Clear? Clear? Common law, which deals with the monetary laws. Equity law add in the common law the concept of the justice and fairness. And in the statutory law, there is an addition of the expertise of the different areas, expertise of the different skills. Obviously, one type of problem cannot be solved by every time standard rule. There must be some technical points as per the nature of the dispute. So in the statute law, there is a skill set of different people incorporates. So statute law is include number of judges work in a group and making laws. This group is called the parliament, and every law which is decided by the parliament is called the statute law. Clear? I hope I have cleared my point of statute law. No, judges are in courts and minister in parliament. Oh, yes, you are right. They are in the court. See, in this stage, we are talking about, obviously, when the law is initiated, when there is a simple lifestyle, we call them people of different expertise. When the structure is established, when the place is decided, where we have to decide the thing, where we the place the place we have to the place where we have to decide our disputes. That means, firstly, in a journal lifestyle, we call them people. When we have decided a place which is called court, then these papers are named as judges. So they are ministers. Obviously, these judges are these. The parliament includes two aspects. One, the judges who are the experts, and then there is an addition of ministers in the parliament. Ministers are the elected persons of a group, of a different groups, of a different societies. So they see how people live, what are their problems, and what type of solution they need. So the parliament include both the judges and the ministers of the parliament. Again, obviously, when you establish the law, when you establish the statute law, yes, at the beginning or early stage of the law, there is a people. But when there is a structured form to whom we call parliament, yes, the parliament is the combination of the judges and the ministers, right? Yes, you can say the ministers and judges worked together and decide law for the general public. So any law, any set of law decided by the judges and ministers of the public are called the statutory law, right? Clear? Okay, good. The next is private law. Private law deals with the dispute between individual, businesses, groups, and organizations. State decide rules, state provide rules, and public made decision by following that rules. See, if you see, there is a rule, nobody can steal anything from anywhere. If someone steal it, then the private law will intervene. The people will say, obviously, it will be fined, it will be present, it will be compensated. So in the private law, and the rules are decided by the provided by the state. but public implement those rules and decide whether a party is guilty and not. If they find that party guilty, they bring them to the civil structure, civil laws, civil courts for the proceeding, right? See, but state do not involve in it. The state, the parliament do not involve in it. But on the other hand, the public law is concerned with the government, is the concerned with the formation of new rules which apply, implement, which affect the public as a whole, with the which affect the big community as a whole. So the public law is concerned with the government itself observe the operations functions of the public organizations. The government will itself consider the effect of laws, right? So after the statute law, there is again a division of the law in between public and private law. Public law is the law which is decided by the state, but state do not involve in the operation of the individuals. But in the private public law, the rules and decisions are decided by the state, but state itself involved in the in the functions of the institutions, because it has a large effect, if it has a public effect. So what is the main distinction in between private law and public law? That is, private law is effect individual, small businesses, small groups, small organization. But the public law deals with the large community, with the public organization, which is about the governance of the whole population, right? Okay, what is the criminal law and civil law? Law is again divided into two types, criminal law and civil law. There are two branches. One is civil disobedience of the law, and the second is criminal disobedience of the law. Criminal law is the type of law in which crime is committed. What is crime? What is crime? A crime is an act which is prohibited by law, which is prohibited by law. If anything which law do not allow you to do and someone commits that act, then this is called a crime committed, right? Crime is an act which is prohibited by law and which affect the whole society, which affect the whole society. So bullet point 2 is, crime is an act which is prohibited by law, means you are not allowed to kill anyone, but if you do it, it's a crime. In crime, society, community affected, and the state punish the wrongdoer or punish the guilty by fine, by imprisonment. So you can say that criminal law is a part of private law. Criminal law is a type of public law. See, it's a type of public law. It's a crime. Crime is an activity which is prohibited by law. Crime is an action which you are not allowed to do. But if you do that, the whole society is affected. Then what the state do? State get involved and punish the wrongdoer. So the next point is, burden of proof is on guilty. Anyone who is guilty to kill someone is having a burden of proof that in court he proves he has not done it, right? The burden of proof is on guilty party. The burden of proof is on guilty party. Guilty party is supposed to supposed to present in the court and justify that he has not committed this crime. So it is very important, and it is the part of difference between criminal and civil law. Secondly, the last one is terminology. The terminology in The criminal law is prosecute and accused. Accused is the person who is defending himself, and prosecute is the person who is suing, who is bring the other party into the court, right? So what is the criminal law? Criminal law is a type of law. It's in criminal law, there is a concept of crime. Crime is any act which is prohibited by law, and if someone do that crime, the state gets involved and punish the wrongdoer. In the criminal law, the burden of proof is on the guilty party. That guilty party is supposed to prove, to justify that he is not guilty. The terminology used in the criminal law is prosecute and the accused. On the other hand, civil law is a type of the private law. It regulates the disputes over rights and obligations of the persons dealing with each other. There is no concept of punishment, rather they compensate each other. As I put the example of the unique painting, this is the type of the dealing with each other. So in this area, what the court does, the court will compensate the parties, not punish the parties. See, the rules provided by state, but state directly do not get involved, right? So, and obviously the civil law will affect the individuals. So if I say what is the difference in between the criminal law and the civil law, the criminal law is that first, the criminal law is the type of public law, and the civil law is the part of public law, right? Right. Secondly, the crime in the criminal law, there is a the crime is any act which is prohibited by law, and if anyone commit that crime, the state directly get involved and punish the wrongdoer. But in the civil law, there are rules through which the disputes between over the rights and obligations of the persons or dealing with each others can be resolved. Thirdly, the burden of proof in the criminal law is on the guilty, but in the civil law, the burden of proof is based on the balance of probability, chances. This may be happened, this may be happened, this can be the chance, this can be the chance. Burden of proof is not on the guilty party or on the party who is bringing the other party into the court. The case is decided on the basis of balance of probability. The balance of probability, the key word is, let me mention his, balance of probability, right? And secondly, the terminology used in the civil law is claimant and the defendant. The claimant and the defendant. The claimant is the person who is claiming, and the defendant is the person who is defending himself. All right? Clear? I hope you are clear with the concept of civil and criminal law. The difference in between civil and criminal law, the difference in between private and public law, the difference between common and equity law. Clear? I think for today, this is enough. Okay. Any question? Any questions, students? No, good. Good. Okay. Uh, Actually, our today's objective was the whole area, but due to the time constraint, and obviously we also have the discussion of the about the syllabus, about the exam techniques, and etc., about the introduction of the paper. This area now, the civil court structure and criminal court structure will be shift to the next class objective. So if I say what is the our next class objective, our next class objective will be from this area starts from this area, and it will include the the topics of previous lecture, the is this lecture, the sources law, the source of law, and before source of law we will have the understanding of structures, code structures. All right, code structures, and then sources of law. Then we will have the practice of this area, and then we will go for the formation of contract, validity of the contract, and freedom of the contract. Right? Okay. Okay, at the mid of the class I have talked about this summary that I will share on your screen every day. You will also have this summary with you, right? You will also have this summary with you for your understanding and for the quick review of the lecture, right? Anything you want to add regarding the class? Any suggestion you want to give me that I need to put this thing when I deliver my lecture? Any suggestion that you want to add? Yeah, it's a small group, and maybe just because it's a trial class for because the Hamzah Academy publicized it on the Facebook that it's a trial class. There may be the reason that there is a small group, but no matters. It's a small group. It's a big group. We have a bound, and we have an objective to start with each other. That the objective is we have to clear this paper. So doesn't matter, it's a small group, it's a big group, but I'm with you, and I will put a effort that make you pass your paper. So I try my level best that each and everything that I can convey you, I deliver that. And all the material that I have provided to you is also available on the ACC Global website. You can go and you can study the articles from the whole articles from the site first. And secondly, uh, you can have again the Hamza Academy. The notes of the Hamza Academies are detailed notes which are compiled by getting the resources from the material of different publishers. So if you go through with those notes, then you will have the understanding. You can have the understanding. You will see that no topic is left, and we will, inshallah, we will cover the whole syllabus, and we will practice the syllabus, and we will get that exam clear. Okay, give me a small brief of you. I want to know what my students are doing and how they. Inshallah, inshallah. That's very good. He's a very good teacher, and he has command over his subject, and that's very good. That's very good. Are you a full-time student? All right, that's good. And what about the other candidate, other student? That's good. That's very good. That's very good. Uh, we also have the very good resource for F7 with the on the platform of the Hamzah Academy. See you, okay, students. That's very nice to have the introduction of the students. Again, you already know my name is Bini Shehzad, and I am an ACCA member and teaching the ACCA students from last 10 years. Uh, I used to work on the paper that I used to deliver the concepts. I worked on that and then get a crux of the topics and give that material to the students. Usually, students basically are involved in the practice of getting the going through the books from different authors, and then have a concept. What I do is I do all the practice of students by myself. Get the data, make a concept, get the keywords, grab them, and convey them to the students, so they can have an effective information, effective source, and on that source, if they work more, that is fabulous. There the results already results are good. So I'm hoping a very good journey with my students. So best of luck and have a very blessed Sunday, and goodbye from my side. Thank you very much.